excitement. Today I have a prop to go with my video, and it's a pillow that has what some of you might recognize as like these emotional wheels. And I got this for my kids a couple years ago for Christmas as a way to help them identify. And I haven't done this in a long time, but what I was doing at bedtime was I would hand them their pillow, and I would say, like, tell me 5 things you felt today. And they would go through and find the ones they felt. And the reason that I am using my prop today is because it's funny, because I kind of want to turn it around for you, but it's the same on both sides. So it's habit. If I'm looking at this, I want to do that. But so it's anger is what I want to. This video is about more than that, but it's about anger. And you can't see it because it's backwards. But on this anger part, frustrated is linked with anger. And again, what these wheels, emotional wheels, are meant to help people with is identifying where they're feeling, absolutely. And they kind of lump things together that are similar, sure. And I think that some people interpret some of these emotions as, a term I use is gradations of the same emotion. So people see frustration being a lower grade of anger, but the same emotion, and rage being a higher grade of anger, but the same emotion. So people do link frustration, anger, and rage as the same emotion, just how much am I feeling of it is what changed. That's what I mean by gradations, that there's a lesser layer, which is frustration, a greater layer, which is anger, and a greater layer that is rage. I just know that I'm not alone. I know that I used to see them this way, and then I was at a training where it was explained to me, and again, I'm not the only one. So that's why I don't know how it finally hit my radar this week. Hey, I want the world to have this information, and somehow it's not circulating out there enough. Which, if you remember and watched any of my videos, so many of them are me trying to put information out in the world. Hey, I know this information, not everyone seems to have it, so I want more people to have it. Which is also why, which I'll say at the end, please like and subscribe, because I just want more people to have this information. So, the chemicals released in the brain with frustration, anger, and rage are different. Like drastically different. Like they're not even the same type of emotion. Frustration is defined as what I am getting, what I got out of this was not worth the effort I put into it. So the example I've always given is if I spent hours working on a meal and then my family doesn't like it. That could be frustrating. Another example I'd like to give today, which is a true story, is a couple weekends ago, we were driving, we are in Boston, Massachusetts, and we were driving to Vermont to ski for a couple of days. It was during the winter break when my kids were out of school, and it was a really bad snowstorm. I was in the passenger seat. My husband was driving, and he was fine, and spoiler alert, we got there fine. Everyone was safe. But I was not comfortable driving in the snow. It was hard for me. And then I had misunderstood the passes that we had, and we couldn't ski on Saturday. So we drove up on Friday in the storm, and we couldn't ski on Saturday. And I felt frustrated. The effort that I put in mentally in the car, I wasn't the one driving, but I was scared. The mental effort I was going through in the car Friday night was not worth not being able to ski on Friday. And again, that's the definition of frustrated. Anger is a boundary violation. Anger is, yes, you've done something that is an invasion to me in some way. I don't want to say out of my comfort zone, but anger is some sort of boundary violation. Rage, myself, I used to think that rage was a way to push people away. I don't know how many people think that way. I do know that I'm not alone. I don't think everyone saw it that way, but I know I'm not alone, that many people do see it that way. Rage, though, neurochemically, what's happening in the brain is that rage is actually a bid for connection. Rage is trying to get someone's attention. This is linked to this research on rage that stems from infant studies, which I'm going to explain a story with my daughter. His name is, I honestly don't know if it's Jacques or Jacques, because Gemini's tell me one way to pronounce it, but I've heard from other therapists another way to pronounce it. So it's either Jacques or Jacques. It's Jaak. You see me look down because I literally have it open in Google because I want to give him not only credit, but I want to get him right. I want to quote him accurately. So Jacques Panksepp, Panksepp. And again, I don't know if it's Jacques or Jacques. Panksepp, Panksepp. And what he found was babies will cry a little bit, and he identified that. He calls it like panic grief when they need attention. And then when that is not recognized, they go up a layer. I can't think of what that layer is called, but you could Google this. And if that doesn't get their parents' attention, they go into rage, which is actually the child's way of getting attention. My daughter, a few years ago, after I had heard this, I believed it, but I hadn't lived it yet. My daughter was trying to get my attention one day and said, like, Mommy, and I'm doing something on my computer. I was downstairs, but I was working. And it was like, give me a second. Mommy, give me a second. And she grabbed me by the face and turned my face to her. Mommy! And I literally remember thinking, oh, this is what he was talking about. This is her rage, and it was to get my attention. I will say it's kind of funny. My husband literally asked me last night, well, what about road rage? And you might know me by now. I was going to get into this really long-winded answer. And he said, is that a misuse of the word? And I burst out laughing. I said, thank you very much. You just phrased that so much better than I did. I literally counted out misuse of the word. I'm like, you just said in 4 words what would have taken me about a paragraph to explain to you. But yes. And this is kind of what I mean about, like, I think society has it wrong, because road rage, I think, is probably more road anger. It's a boundary violation. Why? That's actually, you might have noticed that I was a little bit stumped when I was trying to come up with different ways to describe boundaries a few minutes ago in this video. But driving is a really good example. If someone cuts me off, yes, they've invaded my space. That is an invasion of space, is a boundary. It's not always how I define boundaries, but it is. If they cut me off, or if they're trying to get into my lane, also like cutting me off. But like those things are boundary violations. So I think the term should probably be road anger, but it doesn't have the same alliteration as the R's. And just to repeat myself, society misunderstands rage. Rage is a bid for connection. So one, I just wanted this information to be out there. I think the more information we have on emotions and understanding emotions in ourselves and in others is always going to be beneficial. I also think this might help people understand themselves better and possibly their partner. If my husband is coming at me with rage and I interpret it as he's trying to push me away, that may have one reaction within me. And if I interpret it as he's actually trying to get my attention, that may have a different reaction within me, which is also, I probably haven't gotten into this in other videos, but what I would call the story in my head. So something happens, what a video camera would see in here, and then we have our own interpretations of it. So, if Gabe is coming at me in some way, I may have one interpretation of he's trying to push me away. I may have a different interpretation of he's trying to get closer to me. I'm not saying I need to get close to people. I'm not telling spouses, oh, if your partner's in rage, try to get near to them, because I get it that it can be a repellent and that can be hard. I'm just trying to open the mind to there could be something different going on than we think. And maybe for some people, this is a different way to look at parenting, that you can see it like I did, that when my daughter grabbed my face, I understood like, oh yes, she's trying to get my attention right now. She was not trying to push me away. She was definitely in rage. And it was to get my attention. I keep moving my hands like this because that's what she was doing. So, like I said, today's video was just to help people see the difference between frustration, anger, and rage, and that they are not different levels in the amount of the same emotion. They are very different emotions being processed in the brain differently. And today I had my prop, just a reminder of the emotional wheel, which is always good to know. Emotional awareness is good to know and good to have. If you like this information, as I've said, please like and subscribe so we can get this information spread out to way more people in the world than already have it. Thanks.